securely attached couples do not have fewer conflicts. That is one of the most persistent myths in this space, and it keeps a lot of people measuring their progress by the wrong thing. What the research actually shows is that securely attached pairs fight differently. Specifically, what happens in the 20 minutes after the argument is the only thing that separates them from everyone else. What we know from Johnson and Greenberg's work on emotionally focused therapy is that there are specific, identifiable behaviors, not feelings, not intentions, that determine whether a conflict strengthens a relationship or slowly erodes it. In about 8 minutes, we are going to show you what the most effective repair behavior is, and why the one most people reach for first is not only ineffective, it can make things significantly worse. In this video, we are going to look at what secure attachment actually looks like inside conflict. Not the theory, but the specific behaviors. We will cover why repair matters more than resolution, what the research says about the 20-minute window, and why the most common approach to making up tends to backfire. Before we go further, if this is your first time here, we share relationship psychology research every week that most people never encounter. Hit subscribe so you do not miss it. And if you want to understand your own attachment pattern specifically, we have built a free attachment style quiz over at magneticchemistry.com. The link is in the description. Takes about 3 minutes and gives you a personalized breakdown. Now, back to what repair actually looks like. Most people approach conflict in relationships with a specific goal: to resolve it, to reach an agreement, to close the loop. And when that does not happen, when the conversation ends without resolution, or when someone walks away still upset, or when the same argument resurfaces 3 days later, they conclude that the relationship is in trouble. What they are measuring is the wrong thing. The research on securely attached couples does not show them reaching agreement faster. It does not show them having fewer arguments or staying calmer during them. What it shows is something much more specific and much more learnable. They repair consistently and quickly, not because they feel less activated and not because they are better at communicating, but because they have a specific set of behaviors they reach for, almost reflexively, in the 20 minutes after something goes wrong. And here is what the research actually reveals about that window. Because what most people do in those 20 minutes, the behavior that feels the most natural, the most reasonable, the most justified, is one of the least effective repair strategies the research has documented. Johnson and Greenberg's emotionally focused therapy research, the most extensively studied couples intervention in the literature, identifies 2 specific behaviors that appear consistently in securely attached pairs during and after conflict. The first is what they call the softened startup. When a secure person raises something that bothers them, they lead with the emotional need underneath the complaint, not the complaint itself. Not, "You never text me back," but, "When I do not hear from you, I get anxious and I need some reassurance." The behavior being described is the same. The entry point is completely different. This matters because of what the nervous system does with accusation versus vulnerability. An accusation triggers a defensive response. The other person's nervous system reads threat and either attacks or withdraws. Vulnerability, by contrast, tends to activate the caregiving system, the same neurological circuit that responds to a child in distress. The second behavior is what they call the de-escalation bid. This is the moment when one person, usually the one who is more regulated in the moment, signals that they want to step back from the intensity without abandoning the conversation. Something as simple as, "I need 5 minutes and then I want to come back to this," said and then followed through on, is what Mikulincer's 2006 research identifies as the most reliable predictor of conflict recovery in securely attached adults. In that same study, Mikulincer measured cortisol levels in couples 20 minutes after a conflict. Securely attached adults showed measurably faster cortisol recovery, not because they resolved the conflict, but because repair had been initiated and trust had been maintained that the conversation was not over. Meet Priya and Marcus again. 3 weeks after the silence we looked at in the last video, they had a real fight. Not a cold distance episode, a full argument. Marcus felt Priya expected him to read her mind. Priya felt Marcus went quiet at exactly the moments she most needed him present.
By 9 p.m., they were in separate rooms. Priya was in her pattern, the low-grade noise, the monitoring. Marcus was in his, going quiet, reasoning that space was the respectful thing to give. Neither of them was wrong about what they needed in that moment. Both were using the strategy that felt most logical. And both strategies in isolation were making repair less likely. Here's what the research says needed to happen instead. We're about to get to the third repair behavior, the one the research identifies as the most underused and the most effective. But first, we need to understand why the two most common approaches tend to fall short. Quick question before we keep going. When a conflict happens and both people have gone quiet, which sounds more like you? A, you wait for the other person to come to you first, or B, you go to them even when you are still upset. Drop A or B in the comments. We read every single one. And if you want to go deeper on how your attachment pattern shapes your conflict style, we have written about it on the blog at magneticchemistry.com. Link is in the description. Now, the third behavior. The third repair behavior is the one Johnson and Greenberg's research identifies as the most powerful, and the one securely attached people reach for most consistently. They call it the reconnection bid. Not an apology, not an explanation, not a recap of who said what. A bid for emotional connection that happens before the conflict is resolved. This is the counterintuitive piece. Because most people wait until the issue is settled before they feel safe enough to reconnect, secure people reconnect first, and then, from that regulated state, address the issue. What Priya eventually did was walk into the living room where Marcus was sitting and say, "I do not want to be in separate rooms." Not, "I think we should talk about this." Not a resumption of the argument. Just an acknowledgement that the distance was harder than the conflict. Marcus's response was not perfect. He said, "Okay," and looked at his phone for a few seconds before putting it down. But he put it down, and Priya sat next to him. That was the reconnection bid, accepted. They did not resolve the issue that night. They talked about it 2 days later, more calmly. And what came out of that conversation was more honest than anything that would have emerged at 9 p.m. But the repair happened in that living room, before a single word about the actual problem was exchanged. MICU Lincer's cortisol data tells us why this works neurologically. Conflict activates the threat system, which keeps the nervous system in a state of high alert, scanning for information about whether the relationship is still safe. A reconnection bid, even a small one, signals that the attachment figure is still available. The nervous system begins to downregulate before the conflict is resolved. And from a regulated state, the actual conversation becomes possible. Here's what the research says about the most common alternative: leading with apology during the hot phase of a conflict. Gottman's research shows that apologies in the early window are frequently experienced not as connection, but as an attempt to close the conversation before it has been fully heard. The apology becomes another form of withdrawal, dressed in the language of repair. The reconnection bid works because it does not try to fix anything. It just signals availability. I am still here. We are still okay. The conversation is still open. That is the message the nervous system is waiting to receive. What Johnson and Greenberg found across thousands of couples in EFT research was that the sequence matters more than the content. Reconnect first. Repair from a regulated baseline. The issue will still be there, but the people addressing it will be in a fundamentally different state.
And here is what that builds over time. Because the third insight from this research is the one that reframes the entire way we think about conflict in close relationships.
Conflict is not the opposite of secure attachment.
It is one of the primary conditions under which secure attachment is built. Every rupture that gets repaired creates a new data point in the relationship's history. The nervous system is keeping score, not of the arguments, but of the recoveries. Each successful repair tells it, distress is temporary. This person comes back. The relationship survives difficulty. Over time, that record becomes the secure base itself, not the absence of conflict, not the promise that things will always go smoothly, but the accumulated evidence that when things go wrong, and they will, repair is possible. That is not a personality trait. That is a practiced pattern. And the practice starts with the smallest bid, just walking into the room.
Understanding this conceptually is valuable, but understanding your specific conflict and repair pattern is where the real shift happens.
We have built a free attachment style quiz over at magneticchemistry.com that gives you a personalized breakdown of your results. It takes about 3 minutes, completely free. The link is in the description. Take it after this video. It may tell you something specific about whether you tend to lead with reconnection or wait for the other person to come to you first.
Secure attachment does not protect you from conflict. It equips you for it.
The question is not whether you will have hard conversations. It is whether you will walk into the living room before they are resolved. Next in this series, what the research actually says about building secure attachment when you did not start with it. Specifically, why insight alone does not change attachment patterns, and what does.